Hello friends, Namaskar. Welcome to Dr.RAjeshverma's YouTube channel. And in this particular video, I'll be talking about divergent thinking. So in the previous video, I talked about convergent thinking. So let us define what does it means to be divergent thinking, how we can define the divergent thinking, certain characteristics and other introductory part. So before starting the divergent thinking, let us focus on some important quotes that are entirely related to the today's topic. The first one, Om, meditation makes the mind spacious. It gives the freedom for focus and divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is the center of human creativity. It's the kingpin of human achievements and human creativity. This quote was taken from Mr. Amit Ray, well-known writer. He just focusing on the one of the well-known and most prominent aspect of Indian traditional system, that is Om. Om meditation. It's a very important for divergent thinking. And the second thought that comes from the all-time great scientist Albert Einstein. He said, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. This means, this statement clearly states that we have different kinds of thinking. There are several thinking processes that create some problems or some challenges for us. Whereas there are certain different type of thinking processes that finds out the solution to the that problem. So we need to have different type of thinking pattern to solve the various problems or come up with the best fit solution to the challenges or the problems. So these were the some quotes. Now let us define what does it mean to say divergent thinking. So let us first define divergent. Divergent means tending to be different or develop in different directions. So there are various examples which can explain the meaning of the divergent. Take an example of a tree, small sapling. The moment that sapling comes out from the earth, it develops in the different directions. So similar is the case with the divergent, which means tending to be different or develop in different directions. Whereas divergent thinking meaning, that was the previous meaning was of the divergent, whereas the meaning of divergent thinking is the free flow of thoughts that produces novel and original ideas or the solution to the problems. So this is the best fit meaning. What does it mean to be divergent thinking? That means free flow of your thoughts. The thoughts have, your thinking process have no barriers. It's free to flow in any direction, multi dimensions, multi directional, multi thoughts. So there is no restriction of any kind. And out of that thinking must come up with a novel and original solution or original ideas. It doesn't mean you engage in lots of hours of together in imagination and you're coming out with null. That doesn't comes under the purview of divergent thinking. Divergent thinking means the free flow of thoughts. There is no restriction of the thoughts, but that has to come out with a novel and new idea. So that was all about the meaning of divergent thinking. Now let us define what is divergent thinking. The process of finding novel and original solution to problems. This is one statement definition or one sentence definition that is enough for you to make the idea or the concept of divergent thinking very much clear. The process of finding novel and original solution to problem, or if you take it in a positive sense, challenge. So whereas NCRT defines divergent thinking, which is an open-ended thinking, means there is no restriction, there is no close, there is no limits for thinking. That's why this is known as the open-end thinking, where the individual can think of different answers to the questions or problems in terms of his or her experiences. Here NCRT people add one more concept in the divergent thinking, that is it dependent upon our own experience. With the help of our own experience, we can find out the various solution to various problems and involving our open-ended thinking. So one more definition, Guilford, who coined this word in 1950, that is divergent thinking along with convergent thinking, defines divergent or synthetic thinking as the ability to draw on ideas from across disciplines, various fields of study. We draw various ideas, various beliefs, various concepts, theories, principles, and everything, laws, facts, figures. That is, we draw from different disciplines and fields of inquiry to reach a deeper understanding of the world and one's place in it. Means what is our place in this world and what it does mean to be in that place or in this world. So to explain this concept, we have to draw the ideas, belief, and various concepts, facts, and figures from various disciplines. There is no limit for that. That disciplines can be of any field or any, you call it as a direction. It can be history, psychology, physics, geology, anthropology, optics, and all and all now. Different type of discipline. You have the only idea is you have to come with a new and novel solution to the problem. So that was all about the definition of the divergent thinking. By right now, you might be clear about the meaning and definition of divergent thinking. Now let us define the introductory term. I'll introduce you to divergent thinking right now. Means it means we'll be talking some more facts related to the divergent thinking. As I told you earlier, the concept of divergent thinking was proposed by J.P. Guilford in 1950 along with the convergent thinking. You know, the divergent thinking is the process that attempts to explore the possible and distant association between various ideas. You have various ideas, you have to explore the relationship between different of ideas and what is the level of that relationship, the extent of relationship. You have to explore that with the help of type of thinking. If you do that, this means you are engaging your divergent thinking. It's an attempt where multitude of solution to a problem is presented. Multitude means different and varied solution to a problem. During the divergent thinking, the thought process, this is your cognitive domain, is given all possible freedom to arrive at as much solution as possible. Means restriction-free thought process. There is no barrier of any kind in your thinking, but that thinking has to be for finding a new and novel idea or novel solution to a problem or a challenge. So in common parlance, the divergent thinking is also known as the out-of-box thinking. Thinking out of your common style of thinking, common pattern, away from that is known as the out-of-box thinking. All ideas or solutions generated by divergent thinking are not necessarily appropriate to the needs of the problem or situations. So it's very important here. The divergent thinking focuses on creating as much as solution to a problem. But there is one important but here. All the solutions that are generated by divergent thinking are not necessarily appropriate for the, and in the real term sense, they are not appropriate for the solution of that particular problem. There may be, some may be very fanciful, but not even practical or workable. There are various examples of that. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I was talking to various small kids who were playing that. I asked them, so there was a small bird sitting there. I asked them, if you catch all this bird, what you will do? All the students, the 4 or 5 kids, they answered with different answers. But one very lovely kid given me a beautiful answer. She said, I'll free that bird away. So this is the different kind of thinking. This is a divergent thinking. But this is problem, that solution is workable here. Getting my point? That I was reading a book. In that book I find a beautiful example that there was a brick given to people and asked, what are the all possible uses of that brick? So one of the students came out with a very different and new and novel idea. He said, I will use this brick as a shoe, but that will be when I will go to the moon. So here, you know that his or her creative ability or divergent thinking ability is appreciable. Means that individual is using the brick as a shoe. But at the moment, this idea is very fanciful, very beautiful, very new. But it is not practical or workable. Getting my point? So there's a difference between the ideas which are workable and which are not. So Edward de Bono, a famous creativity writer, has used the term lateral thinking for the divergent thinking. To what the Guilford term is a divergent thinking. So he said it's a kind of lateral thinking, thinking in the lateral terms. A slow brain, it's very important here, I'll let you know, can nurture more creative ideas. What a beautiful finding it is. Means when your brain is slow, that time you'll have more divergent thinking or more creative ideas. So what does it mean to be slow brain? Slow brain means that lesser white matter integrate in specific part of your brain. Means it has been studied that there is a two type of matter in your brain, that is white matter and gray matter. And in specific part of brain, if the integrity of the white matter is lesser, that promotes the divergent thinking or the creative thinking or the creativity. So we'll come up with the very important components of divergent thinking. You know, a divergent thinking ability contains fluency. Then comes the flexibility, originality, and the last one is the elaboration. So these are the four very important components of the divergent thinking. Let us define each component in little bit detail, or you call it a brief. What is fluency? You know, if you are fluent in a language, particular language, you need never find yourself short of the words. You don't have any dearth of words. You keep on speaking for hours together because you are fluent in the particular language. Similar is the case here as far as the divergent thinking is concerned. So it's a fluency. It's the ability to produce varied ideas for solution to a problem and several uses of an item. If there you given an item and you are asked to find the various uses of that item, certainly you will have varied uses. Same case with the problem. If someone gives you a problem and asks you to find the various solutions, if you find very different kind of solutions to a particular problem, that means you are using the fluency part of your divergent thinking. For example, in almost in India, all parts of India, we wear pajamas, or you call it a pair of trousers. Such as, so what are the varied uses of that pajama or that pair of trousers? First one, the basic use is the wearing. It can be used as a robe. It can be used as a duster. But it can also be used as a head scarf. But if you find yourself a shortage of mat, that time your trouser can be used as a mat. So these are the various uses of that your one particular item, that is pajama or the trouser. So if you are using that, you are doing that, that means you are using your fluency ability of the divergent thinking. The second component is the flexibility. It indicates variety in thinking, such as different uses of item. So here there is a thin difference between your fluency and flexibility. Fluency means varied, different, that is different from the almost entirely different uses. Whereas flexibility means variety in thinking. They different of varieties, such as different uses of an item or different methods of solving a problem. For example, I was talking about the pajama or the pair of trousers. It can be used for transporting air from a desert cooler to two rooms. So it's a flexibility. You are flexible in your thinking. You are not fluent, but here you are. If you are using a pair of trousers or pajama for transporting the air of the cooler, desert cooler, in the two rooms simultaneously, that means you are using the flexibility component of divergent thinking. Of course, it's an entirely different or novel use. So this comes under the concept of the flexibility of the divergent thinking. Then comes the originality. The third component, the generation of rare and unusual ideas. Rare and unusual, which has been not used till date, or which are very, very rare. Perceiving new relationships, combining old ideas with new ones, looking at things from different perspective, etc. So that comes under the purview of the originality. Now, research has shown that fluency and flexibility are the necessary condition for the originality. Means your fluency and flexibility forms the base for the development of the originality. For example, pajama can also be used as a life jacket. Is it so? Yes, it can be. So you tie both the legs of the pajama with a knot at the bottom and just fill up the air like this. Just you have to make it wet and fill up the air like this, or you can do that way and suddenly close the upper part too. For few minutes or for temporary use, it can be also used as a life jacket. So dear friends, I told you one important trick, life survival trick here. If you caught up in such a situation, you won't find a life jacket, you just remove your trousers and it can be used as a life jacket too. So this is the original idea, new idea or novel use of an item. So that is the third component of the divergent thinking. And the fourth important component is the elaboration. It is the ability that enables a person to go into detail and work out implications of new ideas. That is, you have come up with the new ideas or new uses of an item. Whether you have to find out and explain that new ideas or new solution to a problem are what are the implications, whether they are workable or not. For example, now evaluate each use of pajama in finer details, whether it works or not. I told you it can be used as a life jacket, but can you save a person who's diving or is drowning in the deep sea? That time this pajama won't work. For a few, suppose a couple of minutes will work and certainly it will go down. But here you have to evaluate. In the fourth component, elaboration, we evaluate each implication of each use or each solution in finer and deeper details. And that if you use that, that means you are using the elaboration component of the divergent thinking. And the next comes the characteristics of divergent thinking. First one, I told you, it's a multi-dimensional. It's a free flow of ideas, transcending your beliefs and pre-existing concepts. That your pre-existing information, general knowledge, your beliefs, your ideas, your traditional practices have no impact on the divergent thinking. That your thinking has to be away from that, beyond this. So that is the first characteristics, is a free flow of ideas, transcending beliefs and the pre-existing concepts. Then the central theme of divergent thinking is to generate novel solution to a problem or novel uses to an item. The basic premise of the divergent thinking is only that if you come out with a new and novel idea of a problem. Okay, then comes the divergent thinking utilizes all possible cognitive resources, your perception, attention, your memory, your visualization, your thinking, whether free flow thinking, all these things are all possible uses of the cognitive resources. So it's a very important here. This means the moment you engage yourself in divergent thinking, you are utilizing each resource of your cognitive resources. So this means you are, in other words, if you say, you are giving a rehearsal for the usage of each cognitive resource. So to remain psychologically fit, you must frequently engage in the divergent thinking, because these your cognitive resources follow a very beautiful principle: use it or lose it. So in that case, you have to use your own cognitive resources, and your cognitive resources day by day will become more elaborate and more creative. Next, the characteristics. The divergent thinking is independent of formal education. Whether you have your formal education or not, divergent thinking has no linking, no association or no correlation with it. It is free of your independent, it is independent of your, that is, formal education or your knowledge or your experience or all everything. So it does not, it is transcends beyond these things. Okay, the next important characteristic of divergent thinking is the facts, ideas and beliefs stored in long-term memory aid in divergent thinking. So important here, your experiences, your facts, figures, they may help and aid in the divergent thinking, but they are not the necessary conditions for the divergent thinking. Next, the nature of divergent thinking has novelty, originality, and flexibility in its components, which I discussed in detail in the previous slides. Most of the time, the solution to a problem occurs instantaneously. It's very important. But the occurrence of a solution to a problem instantaneously doesn't mean that you are not involved in divergent thinking. Take the example of learning, that is insight learning. You remember the Sultan experiment done by the Wolfgang Kohler? That Sultan was able to fetch the bananas by joining the sticks together instantaneously. That was learning by insight. Oh, similar is the case in the divergent thinking. If you are given a problem, if you ask to find a solution to that, sometimes you use your cognitive resources and sit together, ask together and find out what can solve that problem. And finally you find that I cannot, it's very difficult to find that. Then you leave that problem, start engage in different activity, and you'll find that you come up with suddenly an idea or a solution to the problem, and it's become an aha moment. You start dancing. Oh, I will solve the problem. So this means, in that case, it doesn't mean that your mind stopped working, stopped thinking toward that problem. But at that moment, your mind, your brain keep on organizing the facts, figures, and from that and processing that. From that comes out your solution to various problems. That is also known as the instant solution to a problem. Then the divergent thinking is beyond the boundaries of gender, expertise, discipline, protocol, intelligence, or any other factor. So you cannot say that particular gender is more creative, have a more divergent thinking, or particular expert in the field is more divergent or have a more creative thinking. There is no protocol, and even your intelligence is also not currently related to divergent thinking. It means how much intelligent you are have almost no bearing on the divergent thinking. Though studies proved that the creative thinking and that intelligence has some relation up to some extent. After that, they have no relation with each other. That is no relation with your creativity and the intelligence. The next, most of the scientific inventions and the discoveries are the result of divergent thinking. If you go deep and study the history of almost each scientific invention, very important scientific invention, you will find that divergent thinking is involved in that. So divergent thinking is so important for making your life so quality based. Then comes the divergent thinking is non-linear, where ideas develop in unorganized fashion. There is no linearity in divergent thinking. It means if you start thinking together and you want to think in a particular field or particular direction, and you want to see that you want to come with a solve a problem, it won't be possible, because divergent thinking is a free flow of ideas where it's have the relation as non-linear, and the divergent thinking is the good predictor of creativity. If you have good divergent thinking, high level divergent thinking, it can be surely said that you are a creative one. So creativity and divergent thinking are interlinked together. So, my dear friends, we discussed today divergent thinking meaning, definition, 4 components and the characteristics, 11 characteristics of the divergent thinking. These are my references. You can always cross-check them. You can study them for deeper understanding of the divergent thinking and related ideas. And my dear friends, the next discussion will be, we are going to discuss the introduction to statistics. It's a very important. Means we'll be discussing the ABC of the statistics. By that time, how you feel about my video? If you like it, share with others. But if you dislike it, share with me. You can write in my comment box, or you can email me at vermasujit@yahoo.com. Thank you friends for watching this video.